Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 4th Annual South Dundas Awards of Excellence presentation. My name's Rob Hunter. I'm going to be your MC this evening. I'm standing in for Jeff Pops, who is the chair of our Economic Development Committee that presents the awards. Sadly, he's detained in Toronto and was unable to be here, but he did want to pass along the best wishes from the Economic Development Committee to all the award winners tonight. This evening, we're announcing the 2022 winners in 7 categories. These deserving businesses, organizations, and individuals are recognized for their outstanding work this year. I'd like to remind just all the award winners, if you could please stay till the end of the award ceremony for a group photo, that would be great. And I'd like to congratulate, on behalf of Jeff and the Economic Development Committee, all the award winners in advance. And I get the pleasure of presenting the first award this evening, the Young Professional Award. The Young Professional Award recognizes a person under the age of 40 who's made an outstanding contribution to their organization, shows excellence in their chosen field, and has an impact on South Dundas throughout community involvement. And the award winner this year is Curtis Whitaker. Congratulations, Curtis. Please come up and accept your award.
Yeah, there's something like this. There's a lot of people to thank, you know. They're not here. A lot of my family's not here, some friends and whatnot, but I'll be sure to thank them when I go back. Thank Rob and everybody here that was a part of this, and a lot of familiar faces. I've known you all for quite some time, so I appreciate all your time as well. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for this, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Next, I'd like to call upon Chief Administrative Officer Shannon Garrity to present the Green Award.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Garrity. I am the South Dundas Chief Administrative Officer. I am excited to present the Green Award. The Green Award recognizes an individual, group, or business for their outstanding contributions to the environment within the community. And the winner is Rutabaga Ranch. Congratulations. Accepting the award is Jamie Thurler and Robbie Henderson. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go.
Well,
Thank you.
so much. I'd like to thank our amazing community for proving me wrong that we can sell stuff around home and not just in the big city.
I also have the pleasure of announcing the New Business Award this evening. The New Business Award recognizes a new business that has made a positive impact in the South Dundas business community. And the winner this year is Kerr's Burgers and Fries. Congratulations, accepting is George and Lou.
Well, I'd like to thank the community for voting us this. We came in here, and thanks to George and Elena, they made everybody feel comfortable and welcome to our business, and it made a big impact on us. I'm accepting this for Billy. He is vacationing right now. I'm part of his family. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. We're reopening soon, okay? Reopening soon.
Next, I'd like to call upon Councillor Archie Mellon to present the Agricultural Leadership Award. Archie.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Councillor Archie Mellon, as Rob has already mentioned, and I'm proud to announce the winner of the Agricultural Leadership Award. The award recognizes outstanding achievements that have made a positive impact to South Dundas agricultural industry. And the winner is Dundas Orchard and Berry Farm. Accepting the award is Kathy and Calvin Dents.
Okay. Well, Rob said we could have a couple minutes, so Kathy and I intend to use them when you're given the stage. So thanks very much. We're honored to receive the Agricultural Leadership Award today. Dundas Orchards and Berry Farm provides fresh quality fruits and vegetables to residents of South Dundas and beyond. My wife, Kathy, my partner in life and in business, she and I are proud to carry on the tradition of my parents, Elmer and Corey Dents, who started farming in this community in 1957, 65 years ago. They were at the forefront of our pick-your-own strawberry business in the 70s and 80s, and we still offer customers the option to pick their own strawberries and raspberries today at our farm. Although we have a proud legacy, we haven't been resting on our laurels. For the past 35 years, we've been carrying on that tradition, and currently we grow 35 acres of strawberries, 10 acres of raspberries for our local customers and the wholesale market. Our berries ship to grocers, the Costco and Metro chains in Ottawa, and the Loblaw chain in the Greater Toronto area. Through innovative growing techniques and new varieties, we've extended our June-bearing strawberry season from a typical 3 to 4 week season to up to 8 weeks. We also have day-neutral or fall strawberries at our farm for our local customers so they can enjoy berries until later in the fall or frost. Our farm market is a tourism destination and draws visitors from the entire region for berries as well as tomatoes, potatoes, sweet corn, apples, and more. Leadership in farming for us means growing great tasting quality food sustainably. We use cover crops to promote good soil health. We use tree rows to prevent wind erosion. We rotate our crops regularly and use no-till planting. One of the most important things is that we are proud of, we are Canada GAP certified to ensure we meet Canada's strict food safety standards. We are only one of only 2 or 3 farms in Eastern Ontario that hold that certification.
So as members of Berry Growers of Ontario, the Ontario Apple Growers, Christian Farmers Federation of Ontario, and other organizations, we've had opportunity to give back to our farm communities. We regularly give presentations to growers, host events at our farm, and share what we've learned with our fellow neighbors. We've enjoyed working with local farmers and SDG counties to raise the profile of our area farms and to promote Eastern Ontario. This season, our family farm employed 6 students and 3 adults who live locally, as well as 32 temporary foreign workers. We're proud that our foreign workers can earn money to support their families in Mexico, while also helping to stimulate the area economy by shopping local. We couldn't farm without all our dedicated employees, whom we are very thankful for. We're also thankful for our customers who support our business and buy our produce. It is truly a great honor to be nominated for agricultural leadership in our community. We will strive to continue our tradition of excellence in agricultural leadership and look forward to many more years of business in South Dundas. Thank you.
And the next award is going to be the Tourism Award.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Lloyd Wells, and I have the pleasure of announcing the winner of the Tourism Award. This award recognizes an individual, group, or business for their outstanding contributions to tourism in the community and providing a unique, quality visitor experience. And the winner is Sherry's. Accepting this award is Sherry Moe.
Thank you, sir. This is truly, truly an honor. I was truly surprised when I was called for this. I was thinking about what to say, and I thought it's been 7 years this November since we opened, and it's been a real journey. And this I want to dedicate to the girls. I've got a wonderful team of girls, and any great business is never just one person, it needs a team, and I have been truly blessed to have the best team of girls. So this goes to all of them. And the community, we've been so fortunate. It was actually my late husband that saw the potential in Williamsburg and said, we got to go there. And the community has been so supportive, and we keep drawing people from lots of areas. We had a lady in last week, and she was taking butter tarts to Alaska, and we've had people in taking stuff to all sorts of places. So it's exciting that it's been 7 years already, and we do look forward to the next 7 years. So thank you all.
And the next award is going to be the Business of the Year Award.
Good evening. I am Councillor Donald Lewis. I am pleased to announce the winner of the Business of the Year Award. The Business of the Year Award recognizes an outstanding business in South Dundas that serves and inspires to our business community. And the winner is Laura's Value Mart. Congratulations, Laura.
Thank you. This is a tremendous honor. I was really happy to be nominated and surprised and humbled to be chosen the winner. I would like to thank my amazing team who showed great strength and commitment through the pandemic and continue to do their best every day. Our wonderful customers and community who trusted us to keep them safe and continue to support us. Council and the selection committee who recognized our hard work. And Loblaws, who gave me the opportunity to be here and become a part of it all. So thank you very much.
And the next award is going to be the Community Builder Award.
Thanks, Rob. I believe there's two of these because there was a tie. So good evening. I'm Deputy Mayor Kirsten Gardner, and I'm happy to be presenting the first Community Builder Award. Tough choice. This award recognizes an individual, group, or business for their outstanding contributions to the community by providing inspiration, leadership, or positive action that has improved the community for everyone. And it's my pleasure to say that the winner is the Iroquois Matilda Lions Club. Accepting the award, Carol Thompson and Yvonne Delegard. Congratulations. Congratulations, ladies. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll leave this as well. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. This is really a great honor for our club. We've really been working hard and celebrated our 75 years earlier this year. So we're 41 members strong right now, and we continue to honor our 5 pillars from our Lions Club International organization, which is vision, environment, hunger, diabetes, and childhood cancer. We work tremendously throughout the community, and we really appreciate the nomination from a local resident to recognize our club and all the work that we do in this community, and to say thank you to the council and to the committee. And my tongue is all right now because I don't have to bite it anymore to keep this quiet. My club does not know anything about this, so when we go to our meeting at 7 o'clock tonight, they're going to be very pleasantly surprised. And so thank you very much to everyone.
And we have one award left, and as the Deputy Mayor alluded to, it's a second Community Builder Award.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor Stephen Bivell is here, for those who don't know me, and if after 4 years you don't, then anyway, it's my last time I'll be here to do these business awards. I think that over the years, this has proven really good for the community of South Dundas to show that we are alive in business. We're here to certainly be open for business. We want to work with business and make sure that they come here and thrive the best they can, and so far so good. I'd like to thank everyone who's tuned in this evening, and to those who were nominated a business or individual for these awards. Congratulations to all the winners so far. I'm pleased to announce the final award, which happens to be the second of the 2 community builder awards to be awarded this evening. This award recognizes an individual, group, or business for their outstanding contributions to the community by providing inspiration, leadership, or positive action that has improved the community for everyone. And the winner of the second award this evening is Candace Latua from the Iroquois Business Group. Candace could not be here this evening, but I know, having been part of that business group and knowing, and all the community, and certainly the community of Iroquois, the village of Iroquois, know that she works really hard to bring not only the village of Iroquois into focus, but also think about South Dundas in the background. So on her behalf, I'd like to accept this award this evening. And I will stop by our store someday to present it officially. Am I wrapping up? Okay. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for, first of all, attending. I'd like to thank all the nominators, the nominees, the award winners. As I said earlier, it certainly was a pleasure to be on this council to start this award ceremony. I really like to thank the Economic Development Advisory Committee for all the hard work they provided for our EDO, Rob Hunter, and I'd like to also personally thank him for all the work he has done in the past 4 years. It certainly, I do believe that as I leave South Dundas in the next little while, that I'm not leaving South Dundas totally, but out of this chair, that we've left it in good stead, and I certainly hope that the next council will continue on in that good work. So once again, thank you for coming. I'd like to thank the audience for appearing via video, and everyone have a good evening. Before we leave, we'd like to have a group photo of all the winners up here. So whenever we get all organized, the press will be able to, and whoever will be able to take a picture. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 113th meeting of the 7th Council Municipality of South 30th. 30th.
Yep.
We do a lot of meetings. Rightly so. 7th Council Municipality of South Dundas on Monday, September the 26th. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have already had our awards of excellence ceremony and like to congratulate all the winners of those awards. Confirmation of agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or amendments this evening, Madam Clerk?
There was, Mr. Mayor, one addition, 10G, which was distributed to council earlier today, a request for a letter of support from South Nation Conservation Authority.
Okay. We got that in the consent agenda?
That's right.
Okay. I may want to review that before I sign it.
Sure. Correct.
We can go through, unless I don't need to pull it, but there's some wording there I'd like to change before we totally approve it. Or any additions, deletions, or amendments from any member of council? Councillor Lewis.
I will not speak or vote on 11C, for they are related to me.
Okay, so noted. Talk to the clerk about the proper paperwork, which I haven't filed yet for the last time.
Yep.
Any other declarations of pecuniary interest or nature thereof by any member of council? Seeing none, the adoption minutes from the September 12th regular meeting, please.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that the minutes of the 129th regular and in-camera meetings of council be adopted as circulated.
Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. We have a public meeting tonight for zoning bylaw amendment for Part Lot 35 East, Concession 1, Part 5. Let's open the meeting first, please.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that the public meeting to consider a zoning bylaw amendment be open at 6:04 p.m.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Oh, sorry. Got some official business to read first before we go on. Now declare the public meeting held by Council of the Municipality of South Dundas under Section 34 of the Planning Act to be open. There is one zoning amendment of application being considered. Zoning bylaw amendment for Part Lot 35 East, Concession 1, vacant land, County Road 2, former Township of Williamsburg. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of or contrary to any of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment will be given the opportunity to do so. Before you make a presentation, I would ask that you provide your name and address. I am required by the Planning Act to advise you that if you do not make an oral presentation or a written submission before the proposed zoning bylaw amendments are adopted by municipal council tonight, you will not be entitled to appeal the decision to Ontario Land Tribunal. If you wish to make an oral submission to the application this evening, we ask that you raise your hand, proceed with your comments when called upon to speak. I will now ask our planning consultant, Peter Young, to provide a brief overview of the application, following which we will open the floor to anyone wishing to make an oral presentation on the application. Peter.
Thank you, Mayor Byvelds. And as the mayor noted here, oops, there we go. This public meeting is for being held under Section 34 of the Planning Act. If you're listening or here today, you'd like to be notified of the decision of council, you can send an email to the clerk or to planner@southdundas.com. I will give a quick overview, and then through the mayor, the floor will be open up to the applicant or any members of the public. We do have a report on the agenda for later this evening, so council could make a decision later tonight or at a later date. As the mayor said, there is a 20-day appeal period following the decision, and if you're not happy with the decision, it's important to make oral or written submissions to the municipality. Otherwise, you may not be added as a party for an appeal. So, The zoning amendment we're looking at tonight is to rezone land on the west side of Mooresburg, just north of, or northwest of Dutch Meadow subdivision. It's from general industrial M2 to general industrial M2 with a special exception zone. The purpose of the exception zone would be to add agricultural uses to the list of permitted uses that's already allowed in the M2 in the industrial zone. And the intent is the applicant wishes to construct an agricultural storage building on the property, which is about 8 acres, and it's on the north side of County Road 2. So the official plan, this is the new county official plan schedules. You can see I've outlined the property in red, and that's rural district, which permits agricultural, residential, and rural commercial and industrial uses. So we'd be looking at those policies and in terms of what uses might be permitted. The zoning is M2 right now, so industrial. The surrounding zoning, all the gray you see on the map is rural, so that already does permit agricultural uses. And then you also have to the southeast residential zoning as well. So we've sent this out to comments so far as of this morning. When I prepared the presentation, there have been no agency or public comments. Just a note that under the zoning, a livestock facility would not necessarily be permitted because they'd be subject to minimum distance separation, so setbacks from some of the residential uses across the street. However, the intention of this is just for a storage building, so that would be permitted if council approves the bylaw that it's on the agenda later tonight. So that's my presentation, introduction of the application, and turn it back to the mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public here present that would like to comment on this application tonight? Any comments from any member of council on this application this evening? Seeing none, we'll close the public meeting then, please.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that the public meeting to consider a zoning bylaw amendment be closed at 6:09 p.m.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Thank you, Peter, so far. Okay, delegations tonight. First one is SDG County's proposed roundabout and streetscaping cost sharing policy. And I'd like to welcome Ben DeHaan, the SDG Director of Transportation, to South Dundas Council. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate being here this evening. And it's been a pleasure working with you all through this term. And best of luck to those that are in the race again. And best wishes in retirement. I know it's not a retirement, Councillor Mellon, but best wishes. The reason I'm here this evening is we are circulating to all the local municipalities a draft cost sharing policy for roundabout and streetscaping projects that we have done, just completed, or are completing in the future. Before I get into the policy itself, I do want to, I think it's important that on behalf of the county, shout out to tremendous support we had from staff here at South Dundas. Jeff, Shannon, and Rob, they were instrumental in helping us deliver the project that we have out there. And every time I drive through it, I'm quite pleased to see how well it works and how different it looks out there, particularly at nighttime with the street lights. It's certainly, I think we've created that main street that we've been looking for. So, and in that same vein, like recognizing there's still a little bit of work to be done, and we're doing some cleanup this fall still just to be prepared for winter time. So I know we had some drainage issues last year and whatnot, and that's something that is on our list of things to accomplish and are being scheduled as winter approaches, because sadly it's going to be here quicker than we want. So getting into the policy, and I know Council has a copy of this policy in their package this evening. Really what this is all about is trying to put it on paper in terms of how costs are being shared between ourselves and local municipalities as we're delivering these projects. And if I'm being quite honest with Council, this policy was really derived based on the positive working relationship we had with South Dundas as we worked through Mooresburg. So particularly when we look at how we had cost apportioned the capital costs for the Mooresburg roundabout and streetscaping project, this is essentially a model of that relationship that we had. What I think if anything, council may want to, and certainly, of course, I'm looking for feedback across the board on this policy, but I'm sure what council is perhaps interested in, and I recognize this, is the ongoing maintenance side of it. So the way we've set out this policy right now is to I'm going to say empower the local municipality to coordinate the ongoing maintenance associated with the hard and soft landscaping in the roundabout, but still the county remains financially part of that. So we are suggesting in this policy a 50-50 split on those costs. And what that is really trying to accomplish, just plainly speaking, is just trying to recognize that what works in Morseburg may not work in Long Sault, may not work in I'm going to say 43 and 31. Who the heck knows where we end up next with a roundabout, or 43 and 7. There's different. I guess what we're trying to do is just say, local municipalities, if you have a level of service that you're trying to accomplish, and it's kind of far beyond what what a standard might be, then that way it allows you to do that. We still are financially contributing, but you can set the pace for your own local municipality. And I think, we're looking ahead to some of the projects we do have coming up. For example, Alexandria. It's not a roundabout project, but we're going to be doing some streetscaping, and I'm sure there's going to be an element of street beautification similar to what we have here, decorative light posts, probably flower boxes, all these kinds of things. I think we have to be cognizant that, our expertise in our department isn't cutting grass and watering shrubs. Our expertise is in roads and bridges, if I'm being honest with you. And I think, we see that there's the expertise kind of locally to make those connections with either adopt a road programs or adopt volunteerism and all these good things that we even just saw this evening. So that's why we feel that, we want to work with the local municipalities and hopefully gain that cooperation and continue to be a part of it. So with that, I guess I'll open it up, or I'll be happy to listen to any comments that South Dundas has and take that back to our council for their consideration. Our intention is to pass this at our October meeting, if provided we do receive comments, and we're good to go.
Okay, I'll turn to the deputy mayor. She had comments at county council, so we'll continue on that, and then I'll certainly entertain any ideas that our council has.
Thanks for accepting my invitation to come.
Happy to be here.
I think it's important only because if you think about it, in the span of 6 years, we've put down 2 roundabouts, and it's really changed the landscape in South Dundas. And I think that this is so important, and I appreciate the county's work on it, the staff, because it is important. Because you mentioned your department, so true with your big budget, is focusing on roads and bridges and stuff, but our residents really will pick up the finite issues of landscaping and that type of thing. If it looks ratty, or if the community wants to put, Christmas lights up, or whatever the case. So I appreciate this, and I appreciate the willingness to cost share. Have a question around the cost sharing though. You haven't put parameters in as far as requesting. Like, is there a deadline? Do you want it before budget time? So, say our, South Dundas has some big plans, and I know at the tourism committee, we've spoken about different things, and say we want to do the plans. I'd hate to have a situation where we want to do something, but then the wheels of the government go too slow, and then we're not able to do it. So how have you thought about maybe there's no wording. I know that if it's outside of the policy, then it would be a county council discussion, but what are your thoughts? Would you like to see, if this is going to happen? I mean, election years are tricky, but in a regular year, would you like to see it prior to budget? Would you like to see it, or will you just work it into your budget?
If I'm being honest, I think we just work it into the budget. If
Okay.
it's something that is, we'll call it, substantial, I'm confident, just given our relationship with our local municipalities, I'm confident we'll have wind of it and kind of build it into our budget,
Okay.
as we are working with it. I don't expect, South Dundas is going to make a decision last minute to have a gold-plated statue of Mayor Byvelds after his retirement in the center. Those discussions, I'm confident if there's a big cost, we're going to see it beforehand. And generally speaking, we've got the capacity through I'm budgeting already for roundabout maintenance, and it's just
Okay.
a matter of making sure, that we'll be able to accommodate kind of
Because,
the regular stuff.
yeah, I mean, one of the discussions I've had quite frequently is Iroquois, and there's the feeling in Iroquois, there are companies that would like to contribute. I would hate to see the wheels go slow if you've got someone that comes to our table that's willing to fund some of it, because very different, our municipality is very different than the counties in the sense that things can be tighter. And I just don't want to see them come in all enthusiastic with a check and then it just kind of dies on the table, because we've had that a little bit to get to this point where there's been conversation, but we haven't been able to do it. So I know that once this is passed, there's going to be groups that are going to be like, okay, now we want to add something to Iroquois specifically. So, okay, that was really my big question. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, Councilor Wells.
Thanks, Ben, for the report here. I have a few comments on this. As far as the cost, like splitting the cost, I'm not comfortable with that. Just for the simple fact, your budget is like up here, and it is county's property. We have enough of our own to maintain. But what I would recommend that you take back to council, that we would manage it. Like we would have, I don't know, our rec group or whatever, do a budget up for you, say, we're gonna fix this year and have that. So you have a budget which would include everything pertaining to maintaining the cosmetics of the roundabouts. Not the structure part if something happens, but the cosmetic part. I think that would be the best part, because again, like when things are in the plan stage, like I don't know how the counties do it, but it should be in there that maintenance should be included in your budget. Like you look at some of these stuff with Iroquois, what happened, beautiful for the first 2 months, and it's weeds and stuff. And the roundabout here, there's there's an old gentleman out there that's doing this at his own time, like not getting paid, just he's out there doing it. So my recommendation would be that we, the municipality, would set up a budget to organize the mowing, cosmetics, everything pertaining to that, and then we would invoice you the full cost.
Councilor Mellon.
Yeah, too bad we couldn't have, this wasn't sort of taken care of beforehand, I guess, before Iroquois went in, and my biggest concern is if we're going to be uniformed across SD&G with all the roundabouts. Councillor Wells brings up a valid point. I don't know what kind of support that would get at county council, because as they go along the road, there's more maintenance to be done on, just the mowing and whatnot, and tending flower beds or whatever it might be. Now, Ben, if we do any improvements, say, if you will, in Iroquois, do we have to have approval first from the counties? Like, sort of along Deputy Mayor Gardner's point, you guys want to work it into your budget, but, I'm sure there's probably a bronze statue of myself and Mayor Bybel's there, but I mean, we don't, I just wonder, do we have to, say, okay, this is what we want to do in whatever roundabout, Morseburg or Iroquois, or, we just don't want to, hand you a blank check and say, well, we need, $20,000 from the counties for, so do we have to get that pre-approval from the county to do anything, like your 50% cost share, if we go with a 50% cost share on anything like that?
Yes, the answer is yeah, we'll have to work together on it. I think, I guess the beauty for me as a staff person with this policy is that, if we can fit the work in the policy, then I don't have to go back to council and kind of ask for permission or, get, like, to me, it's clearly laid out here from where I sit. And I think that that's important because it allows us to have those efficiencies, to be able to, come and meet with Shannon and Jeff and, hey, we're gonna work on this. That sounds great. Here's the policy, here's what it says, this is how we're gonna split it. Awesome, let's go. So I think it becomes as quick as that kind of meeting. Whereas, something that maybe is a little bit out of the ordinary. And I'll give you, if I may, I'll give you an example. We had at the roundabouts in Long Sault, there was an individual who's interested in putting some art, local art out at one of the roundabouts. And so, yeah, we said, okay, well, we're going to check with South Stormont Council, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I think, again, with this policy, it just makes it that much more quicker to be able to execute those things and perhaps avoid the bureaucracy that sometimes can grind these things down.
Okay, and I think Mayor Byveld, unless I missed it when I was reading this through, there's really no mention that getting county pre-approval before we do any, if we do any beautification or any work, say in Iroquois. I think that should be included in here, unless it's in here and I just didn't pick it up.
Yeah, so again, the expectation would be that we would sit down with your staff here and depending on what we would come to an agreement before any work takes place, just to make sure that it's all crystal clear in terms of what's happening out there.
Well, I think that should be in the agreement, whatever township and municipality, because it'll clarify things a lot better, because you're going to have a different county council and you're going to have a different council, and so just a little bit of clarification. As far as the cost sharing, 50-50, Councilor Wells makes a good point. Don't know if that, I think I would be happy with the 50-50 split, as far as the mowing and whatnot, looking after it, and any beautification projects or anything we want to do different would be a 50-50 split. So as long as it's uniformed across the board, like everybody else, like, South Stormont and, everybody is sort of playing on the same field. That's, and too bad we couldn't have maybe, we got into the roundabouts and then we started looking back, and hindsight's always perfect, but yeah. So, okay, I'm done, Mayor Byveld, thank you.
Councilor Lewis?
I agree with Councilor Mellon, Deputy Mayor Gardner. But I definitely think that we should also have something, as Councilor Mellon said, something in there about the Iroquois roundabout. Looked beautiful for 2.5, 3 months, then all of a sudden it looked like just a great big pile of weeds. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. And Councilor Wells was right. The gentleman come to me and he wanted to volunteer to clean the flower beds and everything up. And I went through the CAO. And I have to say, South Dundas has a lot of good volunteers, and they want to make sure that our roundabout is as pretty as a picture, and I think they have done a good job at it. But I think there should be something in this deal with Iroquois. And that's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Right. So just to clarify, Ben, Iroquois gets captured in this then too.
Correct.
I think, I'll just say it, Iroquois was a very hard learning lesson for the county because we built it and then it was kind of, ignored a little on the too much side. It was. There was we actually took one flower bed out that was on beside KBD because it was just a disaster. And the challenge of doing what we've done, and it's good, I'm not saying anything bad, is that the maintenance has to be kind of thought of right away because South Stormont has benefited from someone doing the work there. It looks fabulous. Iroquois got forgotten about, and I'm not disrespecting anybody, that was the reality. Morrisburg is where we have to apply all the lessons that we've learned on both sides. And I think, to be honest, I'm good with what you've got. I think some of those tweaking that, how we get there, and as what you asked for again, Councilor Mellon?
Well, just the pre-approval should be written in there. Like
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Yeah.
Applications, any to, let's say, Iroquois, it should be written in there that it's a cost share and, you know, the pre-approval part of it, if, you know, because,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, we have to recognize in South Dundas that the majority of that infrastructure is county infrastructure. So if I was doing something on somebody else's yard, then I would go ask. This sets out the way that ask is going to happen. And I think this is better than what we had before, which is basically nothing. So that's a good thing. I know Councillor Wells has got a point on going 100%, but I think knowing how county council thinks and looking at what will possibly happen down the road at 50-50 split is probably reasonable. It's better than technically saying we get 100% from the shoulders in, and we would not like, you know, can do it, but I'd rather not do it. So, and I think we're set up here to be ready for events like Punk Inferno or Light at Night, where we can attract people coming from Ottawa. Don't take the 401, come down to Morrisburg and see what we've got. And I think the word, you know, between Facebook and the word, I think that will happen. Of course, we've got to get it there. So, and you know, that's where I see some of the benefits of what we've done here, we as counties and we as South Dundas. So, further comments?
Yeah, I just have one question. So you mentioned Pumpkin Inferno. The Tourism Advisory Committee had budgeted to put pumpkins, lit up pumpkins in the middle. So what would that fall under? Because I mean, I know it's a decoration, but it's not really an art landscape. Just getting you to write your check.
I think it's public art. Like, I would call it public art.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
okay.
that fits very nicely in public art.
Yeah, it's like a tourism initiative. Okay.
Yeah.
So that has been spoken about fairly. So I mean, this contract now is taking a while to get there, but it's that was in the works to have that, which would be a great partnership. So okay, perfect. It's covered.
Okay. Anything further, Councillor Wells? I know that it seems like we're going the opposite way you, but that's not abnormal on your chair.
No, I guess my comments are done right now because I know which way it's going. Anyway, I'm just glad we're getting something.
Yeah.
Like I said, you guys have a lot more money than we got. Would have been nice to see us pay it all, but anyways, I'm good the other way too. So.
Anything further, Councillor Mellon?
have any issues with it being contracted out, or were you thinking in-house, and that would be up to the council that would be sitting there at the time, whether we contract out the maintenance of the two roundabouts, or, you know, it's easy, you know, because if we do it ourselves, then, well, we gotta figure in staff time and whatever, but, or we can just contract it out. You don't have an issue one way or another, okay?
Either or works for us. Yeah, whatever is, and volunteer is another option, even contemplated in this policy. Just, you know, the gentleman that is weeding that area right now, like, I think that there's a real opportunity for us to recognize that individual with some signage, and those kinds of things are contemplated in this policy as well.
Any further? Okay. Well, thank you for coming out to listen to our, I wouldn't say concerns, but at least our ideas, concerns, and better to do that and work with our local municipalities and come from the top and say this is the way it's going to be, and too bad so sad. Always works better to collaborate with all the lower tiers, and I know that most of the time in the counties we do so.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Next delegation is Watershed Canada on the Morrisburg waterfront proposal. That's coming in via
Hello, thank you for having me.
just a second. Okay, your name is Chloe. Yeah, you were here earlier.
Yes, Chloe Lejoie. I was here back in February presenting it first.
Okay, so council had heard your earlier presentation. You were coming here with further updates on that presentation, I understand?
Yes. Yeah, I'll just share my screen quickly. Can you all see that?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Great, yeah, so I was here back in February presenting our project the first time, and it's to do with the Morseburg Waterfront Park. Again, just to go over who we are Watersheds Canada. We are based out of Perth, and we are a not-for-profit organization and a charity. And we work with different waterfront property owners, organizations, municipalities to carry out stewardship programs throughout Canada, which have the goal of improving and protecting our fresh water. The project or the program that we're carrying out in Morseburg is our Natural Edge program, and it's designed to help create a natural shoreline by planting a selection of native trees, shrubs, and wildflowers that are suitable for the property. And I previously went over all the benefits of a natural shoreline. So just again, quickly, it's great to help provide and create fish and wildlife habitat, helps to stabilize our shoreline, as well as with water filtration, regulating water temperatures, and even being a deterrent for geese. So to go over our project and the plan that we submitted originally, we are looking to plant a 1.5 meter wide buffer along the Morseburg Waterfront Park for about a 120 meter stretch. And this starts at the east side of the park, close to the beach, where we would be planting just along the edges of the beach to help secure some soil that's eroded there. And then it stretches westward for about 85 meters. And it's going to be densely planted with low-growing native shrubs and wildflowers, and we're planting it so densely so that the naturalization process can happen very quickly. So all of the wildflowers that we've selected will be planted in height groupings all along. And then the tallest plants, which are only about 1.5 meters, will be just in the compartments from E to H, where we're just transitioning into larger shrubs that had previously been planted there. And then as you can see from the outlined area, we aren't planting up to, completely towards the pathway. We're actually leaving a strip there so that it allows room for the plants to grow, so it won't be overtaking any of the pathway for anybody walking by. And I know there were some questions from the previous presentation just about education, the installation, and the maintenance of the project. So for the education, our communications team will be working with the municipality to send out a media release. So we'll draft that up, and it will just be more details on the project, why we're doing it, why it's important, and all the benefits that a natural shoreline provides. And then once it's approved, we'll send that out to the local newspapers. And then as for the actual installation of the plants, we have a group of community volunteers who have agreed to help us. So I'll come along with some staff. We'll set up the planting area, and then the volunteers will help us. And it should only take a day to actually get those plants in the ground. And then I know another big concern was the maintenance of the new planting. So those same community volunteers have agreed to maintain our new planting for us, but we're trying to reduce that work as much as possible for them. So when we're actually doing the planting, we're going to install a hemp blanket, like you can see in the photo there. So basically it's just hemp fiber, and we'll roll that out over the area and secure it to the ground using ground staples. And then we'll just plant the plants directly in that. And this will really help to reduce that grass growing up in between. And because it's densely planted, it should naturalize more quickly that way. And talking with the municipality as well, they mentioned having some extra mulch that we can place on top of that too. So if we spread that over top, that'll even further help to deter the grass and the weeds coming up in between. But if any do, we do have those community volunteers to take care of that for us. As well as they would help with any watering during droughts. Again, because we're putting mulch on top and this hemp fiber blanket, it will help to retain the moisture more, so they won't be needing to water as much as as a regular planting where it's more exposed. And then for funding, we do have funding from the TD Friends of the Environment Fund, just over $5,000, and this goes towards all of the plants and materials and our time for coming out. And then the municipality contribution is just our base price of $250, and that would just cover our travel expenses to come out because that does not get covered through the TD FEF fund. And then just so you can see what a demonstration site that we've done in the past looks like. This was actually on the Madawaska River, and this was done in 2016. And they suffered from flooding, had a big issue with geese there. And this was just 3 years later when all of the wildflowers have spread out into the area. And they haven't done any maintenance to it, so this is just what happened. But if we have a group of committed volunteers that can go in and pick out the few weeds or grasses that come in, it should just be mainly flowers and flowering shrubs all the way along. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Chloe, Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor Boyvels. Thanks, Chloe, for your presentation. Thrilled to see TD Friends of the Environment still around. They've been a long time funder of these types of projects. My only concern with this, the education perspective or the education thing that you covered as far as the press release, I don't believe that that's substantial enough, only because until this takes root, and it looks fantastic in the photograph that you've shown, but until this takes root, it's going to look like we're not maintaining our shorelines. And I can tell you, if the grass grows longer than a couple of inches, we get calls. So I've received calls about grass growing up, whether things haven't been whippersnapped, whatever the case may be. So we are going to have to come up with a sign. I'm sorry, but it's going to have to be some little something that even if it talks about the geese, because most people find it such an annoyance. I think one of the most interesting aspects of this project is the goose control, and I think it shows the proactive nature of it, but I don't think a one-time press release is going to hit the mark. I think you are going to have staff receiving multiple complaints until at least it takes root. So I'm not saying we need to put a massive sign. It could be a little, little flag sign that just says, goose control in effect or naturalization project or something. I think that needs to be part of it. And I can see that it's probably not in the budget for, and I'm looking at the CAO, so we will have to come up, or it's just going to create conflict. And I really think we need to be proactive because it's a good project. So those are my only comments on that.
Councilor Lewis.
Well, Chloe, I was in favor the first time you came. I did have a couple concerns, and I still have one concern. I'm going to go back to the old measurement that the seniors understand. I could see a plant 39 inches, which equals 1 meter. But I think we're going to get a lot of complaints if we go to 1.5 meters, which equals 57 inches. That is, I think that's going to block a lot of the St. Lawrence River. I can most likely live with 39 inches and lower, but I'm not happy with the 39 to 57 inches. And that's my only concern on that. I think it's a great project, but I don't like the ideas of wild weed growing over 5 feet high. And that's my only complaint. Thank you.
Any comment, Chloe?
Yeah, definitely. First, for the education, I do have signage that we typically install at a demonstration planting to explain the project. When we started with this project, it seemed like they didn't want any more signs at the park, but that's easy to make. We already have all the design work done for it, and we would just change out the name and the logos for that, and we can have that work with the township to install that, so that's not an issue there. As for the heights of the plants, because I'm still working on plant orders, I can see what I have and can switch out those taller ones. The taller ones were already where larger plants were placed, so it wasn't going to be blocking out too much of the new area. But for any ones that are hitting that 1.5 meters, that was originally where it was just grass, we could be switching it out for more wildflowers if needed.
Okay, good idea. Councilor Mellon?
Yeah, I can echo what Deputy Mayor and Councilor Lewis said. In one of your earlier slides, you claimed the soil down there is sandy loam. Did you test, or did you do a soil sample?
We did a few along. It was sandier by the beach, but there was more loam mixed in as we went further away from it.
I just question it being sandy loam because it's probably stuff that they brought out of the river, which would be cement at the best of times. My biggest issue, $250, yeah, okay, we could do the thing. But my biggest issue is future cost for maintenance. You're saying you have some volunteers right now. Unless this is protected, we're going to have damaged or destroyed plants. And if there's damaged or destroyed plants, do you come back in and replant?
If it's a significant amount, then we do. But if it's just 1 or 2 here and there, we don't typically come out to replace those. But if it's more than, say, 20%, then we would be doing a replant.
Yeah, and just the future maintenance costs, just the volunteers, great that they're going to step up and, but I can see this will be coming back on the municipality to water or weed or whatever you got to do to them to get them established. If you don't get it established, it's a waste, And personally, I think you need to almost rope it off to keep it, same as any crop, until it gets established. It's very vulnerable to damage or probably being destroyed. I just sort of caution on, future costs for maintaining it, what that would be. $250 up front isn't the end of the world, but it's, the future cost of maintaining it or looking after it, and once the volunteers say, well, we've got it for a year or two, and so I'll drive on, Mayor Bibles.
Councilor Wells?
Thanks, Chloe, for your report. I went back, looked at my notes back on the 28th, and my concerns are still the same today as they were back then. As far as erosion goes, like right now, what I got, like we have a rock all along there, and if you look right now, like there's weeds coming up through those rocks. So I added my comments about even if we went ahead and put the wildflower plots in, those other weeds out in front that would take away from what we're trying to do, as far as it's more to beautify the waterfront than to erosion that, because there's no erosion like maybe down towards the beach. From the beach up, there's not. It's rock. As far as the Canada geese, well, they're not gonna swim and come up the rocks and come there. If it was no rocks, I could see the flowers stopping them. Our geese, they just like to do a little 2-minute flight over and land in the middle and keep going. And I agree with Councillor Mellon as far as maintaining it, because I've seen it time and time again. Like everyone's all enthused, happy, we're going to have this. Then 1-2 years down the road, it goes away. Like then it's up to the municipality to maintain it. Maybe this group of volunteers are going to be different. I hopefully they are. And another comment Councillor Lewis has, I agree with him about the height, because if you get people that are sitting out there in the summer in chairs just north of the walking path, and they're sitting in the chair and they're 18 inches off the ground, they're not going to be able to see the water at all. So I know it's not the full length, they could move the chair down, look at the water, but my guess they would plop right in the center of that plot, then call us and say, why can't I see the river? And the cost, like I said, it's minimum cost. Definitely rope it off with signage and stuff that till, it's like any other crop, till it gets established. But yeah, I think what the volunteers should do, and I don't really have an issue with the flower beds and stuff if they're maintained properly, but to get rid of all the weeds out front, I don't know if we would have to call South Nation, because they're the ones that take care of the shorelines, if we're allowed to pull weeds out. I don't know the protocol in that, so it's just something to look into maybe. Remove one set of weeds, then put the other one in there. So that's all I have right now.
Okay. So Chloe, when is the plan to plant this?
So the funding does have to be used this fall. It was a 1-year grant from TD, so by December, so planting season runs out at the very end, mid-November. So it's a bit of a tight turnaround, I understand.
Well, for sure, and the farmer in me thinks the earlier the better. Fall doesn't tend to have a lot of growth in it. I think you've heard some valid concerns here, certainly the height, the looking after of it after the fact, not discounting any of the volunteers that have done an excellent job. I think there's one volunteer that does basically 90% of the work, and she's great. But I think, always starting small and growing is not a bad plan. I can certainly support the project and get it off the ground if you deal with some of the concerns that mentioned at council tonight. And my advice is just, you need to get it done sooner than later. So, any further comments? Go ahead.
Just on the sign, it doesn't have to be a permanent one, because I understand, especially the Waterfronts Committee's concerns about too many signs down there, but just until it's established. So whatever signage you have, I hope it's temporary, just to kind of educate, and then it can be removed. I wouldn't want it to be a long-term installation. Mayor?
Okay. Anything else? Yes, Councilor Mellon?
I've said if you let it go to the end of November before you plant this, you might as well buy artificial flowers, because it isn't going to, I don't think they'll take, depending on the fall, you could have a great fall and you might be laughing all the way to the bank, but.
Depends what heat unit is for the flowers.
Yeah.
Anyway, it all depends on the fall, correct,
Yeah,
Councilor
it all
Mellon?
depends on the
If you got
fall.
an open fall, you can get some great growth, and if you have a poor fall, then you don't, and it's no different than us planting winter wheat if we did so. Okay, with that, thank you very much, Chloe, for coming back to council and listening to our concerns, and as we said, received the majority of getting it done, so please talk to committee and get it done sooner than later. The committee's work has to be done by October 24th, so they don't have a lot of time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll move on to action requests. First one is FS 2022-08 Taylor Road Bridge $100,000 budget contribution.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis. That council directs staff to redirect the $100,000 bridge reserve transfer approved on January 24th, 2022 through Budget Bylaw 2022-11 to fund the replacement of the Taylor Road Bridge.
Lachlan?
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. As discussed at last meeting, this is moving that money, the $100,000 from the bridge reserve. The next report, I guess, or the bylaw we'll pass after this is in this discussion topics. We were returned a 4.26% interest rate, which is much more favorable. This will save us $11,000 in interest payments and an annual payment of about, it'll be an annual payment less of about $11,000, and we'll pay it semi-annually. So this is asking or following up on that $100,000 moving from bridge reserves as discussed at last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Wells, any comments, questions, concerns?
Not really, I just like the last numbers that came in compared what they could have been. Because it's only went up basically like 2 points since the thing, so no, I'm good.
Councilor Mellon?
No, I mean, you know, we were gonna do the extra 100 when it was at 90, roughly. I'm sure we can, I just don't know if we need to take another 20 out.
Kind of hard to change the numbers now, sir.
Yeah,
Just
it's
let
already-
you know,
No.
we've made our decision.
Yeah. Let's drive on with it.
Thank you. Councilor Lewis?
Decision on council's behalf.
Mayor? Yeah. No, I think that time we were anticipating worse, it came in maybe better, but that's okay. The next council has some more wiggle room to do what they need to do with the bridges and bridge reserve. And we've also saved them some debt reserve room that we would have taken. So I think there's plus, 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 and we made Councilor Wells happy by not spending quite as much money. There's nothing further. All those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? This motion's carried. Thank you, Lachlan. Next one is CS 2022-08, the adoption of the logo refresh.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that council approve the implementation of the refreshed South Dundas logo and adopt the associated corporate identity standards guide.
Caitlin, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we spoke about this back in July. So this is just us coming back with the deliverables from the designer and a little bit of information that we were looking for when we chatted back then. Basically, just to refresh your memories, we did a little bit of a refresh to the logo, added a new color, made the text larger, that kind of thing, but it hasn't changed too much, which was always the plan. And we'll do a phased-in approach to switching things over, which was the appetite of most of council at that meeting. There's no real cost implications that we need to worry about. The Deputy Mayor made a good point at the last meeting about things like our logo, or our envelopes. And yeah, not the recommendation to do a full color on that kind of thing. People throw out envelopes, so why would we be spending an extra $800 on an order for full color for that kind of thing? And a lot of the other stuff that we're using it on right now in terms of physical things like signs, they actually don't follow our current brand standards. But they are actually closer in visual appearance to what we're moving towards. So that's kind of a nice little surprise there. And so, yeah, we don't have any cost implications that we really need to worry about. The only thing would be $4 extra for the stickers that go onto our vehicles, which is not too concerning. If the next council wanted to do something like a mass turnover of our stickers on our vehicles, we can budget for that. And you might be looking at, $3,000, but it's not something that we need to worry about now. And I think the phased-in approach works really well for this situation because, as we talked about last time, it is so close that I don't think anybody's going to notice too big of a change. And we can start using it right away on our digital projects or anything that we print, like a rec guide or our garbage calendar or anything like that, because we're already printing full color anyway, so it's not going to have any effect there. There's a few pictures of mock-ups of some of the stuff that might, how things might look going forward, business cards, a little bit, the sticker for the vehicles, our recycle bins, that kind of thing. So just so that you can kind of see how it will look. And other than that, the communications plan, I don't want to go too big on this because I said, like, we're just phasing this in. You know, maybe we'll do a post on social media, but really I think, I don't even know if I would go that far. I think I'd just, you know, start using it because it's so similar, and if people have questions, they can always call us and we're happy to answer them. So yeah, if there's any questions about this, please let me know.
Okay, we can let it evolve.
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. Yeah, I mean, this is a facial. It's not really a nip and I don't think we need to announce it to the world. I do like what you've done. I did notice that there was the font purchase, which if I'm here, I may argue is potentially not necessary. But for it, I think it's great. And you did bring up the rec guide, and I just wanted to say I love this version. So thank you. And for the families that still put magnets on their fridge, I love the fact that you could actually put it on the fridge to reference. So I know it's, sorry, Mayor, I know it's aside from this, but I wanted to say good job on that. Yeah, it's basically a facial. It's just making it brighter and a little bit more pop to it. So I don't see any issue. The only question I had was why color logo on our vehicles? Because sometimes people like the more subtle black and white depending on what the use of the vehicle is. So say, you know, enforcement vehicles, you like more of a subtle approach instead of the sparkly, shiny. So Dundas is in your, on your lawn for, you know, property standards or whatever the case may be. So I'm just wondering why like I get it for some purposes, but for other purposes, I think the subtle, more subtle approach might be more, you know.
Fair, through
Yeah.
you, Mr. Mayor. I think that I would probably chat with the roads department and our mechanic about sort of what their feeling was as well on there. Right now, all of ours are the blue,
Yeah.
or white. I think we have on our red trucks.
Yeah.
So it would just be a consistency thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we only do a couple stickers a year, so.
Yeah. It's not a big one, but depending on the use of the vehicle, I think sometimes it's important to have more of a subtle factor instead of the colored thing. And our residents love to discuss how many vehicles we have, so potentially putting a nice big colored sticker on them is, you know, so just something to think about. Use of vehicle and the color of the logo.
Sure.
Thank you.
Councilor Lewis.
I love the idea of the color of the logo on the vehicles. You would not believe how many times a year I hear it. Oh my God, how many vehicles does South Dundas have? It could be the same vehicle they see 2 or 3 times. So, you know, if you have, and I don't want to change your colors on you, but if you got the CBO and bylaw, they have their own color, recreation have their own color, and roads have their color, and water and sewer have their different color, then if somebody sees, say for instance, a black and white sign, you know that's bylaw. If you see the blue and white, that's roads. But yeah, I wouldn't get in a big rush and go out tomorrow and change all the emblems on the vehicles. I think the smart way to be is when you purchase a new vehicle, it gets the new sign. But I think you did a good job on this. I like it. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon.
No, this phased-in approach, you know, it's cost-effective, I think, and less confusing. I'm good with it.
Councilor Wells.
Trying to go back, well, that meeting was back in July, wasn't it, when we had it?
Yeah.
Kalen, what was the original cost to refresh? Just because I wasn't really for this to start with. So to refresh the logo, you said it was $1,000 or something to pay the designer to do that?
So
Originally?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so when we talked about it, yes. So the redraw that we had to do was, I'm gonna be rounding my numbers here, $500. And then we paid an extra $4 to do this update.
Okay, well, okay, so let's say $1,000.
900.
I know, I just rounded off to the top, the higher.
Is that what you do when you send
Well,
somebody an invoice too?
Yeah, that's usually what I do. Anyway, like, my comment, I think, like, we should just leave everything the way it was. Like, to refresh this, like, we just got done doing, this should have been brought up, like our water towers, there's two great big blue logos. And this is, at the end of the day, it's gonna cost, like we're saying, it's not gonna cost a lot, it's gonna cost a lot. By the time you put everything in perspective and change everything, signage on the road, or signs coming in towns, everything. If it was me, I just leave it the way it is. I personally, myself, I think it's money that could be spent elsewhere.
Okay.
Just saying.
We're good?
I'm good.
Okay, so I think back at the time council decided as majority, we go ahead with it. So I'm not saying you can't object, I'm just telling you what we did then. I think it's all right as long as we evolve it into, like, I'm certainly not gonna spend $3,500 to change every vehicle we have, because I think we be combed, and we deservedly so be combed over that, but other than that, I didn't have any issue with it then. I don't have any issues with it now. I did pick a small mistake in the standards guide, which is on second page of it. It'll be on my page 27. No disrespect, but our municipal elections are held every 4 years of the mayor and deputy mayor and 3 members elected at large. Middle of page.
I'll find that and change that.
Did you find it? It's on the second word page, third page altogether.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. So, better to have it right than not. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Just a point of clarification, I think we started down this path though, didn't we need to, because we didn't have the, our logo was not for online?
Yes.
So there was a purpose to this, it wasn't a refresh, because that's why I agreed to it. We needed with the, we needed to give you guys the tools with online, social media, the whole ball of wax, that we actually needed to create those files that we could put and transfer to online. So it wasn't just done to just do it, it was done with a purpose, which is our online presence, correct? Am I wrong? I'm right? Okay.
Okay, any further comments from Member of Council? Seeing none, all heard the motion, those in favor, opposed if any. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kalen. Next one, CAO 2022-11, Industrial Park Land Transfer from Sale of Assets, Removal of Fill at Southeast Corner.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Wells, that Council accept report CAO 2022-11 to authorize a $50,000 transfer from the Sale of Asset Reserve Fund to fund, in part, the removal of fill at the Industrial Park Southeast Corner as a condition under the purchase and sale for Safia Home Furnishings.
Shannon, welcome.
Thank you. So this is a follow-up to our discussion that we had in February of this year, where Council did approve the purchase or the selling of 25.71 acres of our remaining industrial park to Safia Home Furnishings. Part of that was their due diligence period, which was expired the middle of September of this year. Part of the condition was that we would remove 50% of the fill, and that they would advise us if they wanted to retain the other 50%. At this time, they've advised us that they would rather have the 100% of the fill removed, pending the sale. The sale is scheduled to close December of this year. And what I'm looking for council tonight, we went back and looked at the budget in 2021. There was funds put aside from the sale of asset reserve fund to do some of the removal. That didn't happen. It wasn't put into the budget of this year for 2022. So what we would like to do, and based on some of the estimates we received, is we like to get a head start on removing the fill. The fill comes from the transmission line that was done back 20 years ago, maybe or so. That was put there. We do have a need for it at the landfill in Matilda. We can use it as cover. We always need cover daily to put on our mound. So it's not like we're removing the fill and it's not having another purpose. So what we're looking for tonight is to just transfer $50,000 based on some of our costing. That would probably do us about a week to have a contractor in there to remove it. It would allow us kind of a pause to see kind of how much headway we make in that week to remove it. In the meantime, I have been talking to our Director of Transportation, where we can go in with our in-house staff to remove the organics as well as chip all the branches and stuff and use it for mulch. So we're just looking at getting a head start on this right now, kind of doing some work, seeing where things end up, and then going from there. So if council has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. And I know one question that might come up is why we didn't go ahead and do this sooner. Some of the issue, the fact is that we wanted to wait until the due diligence was done, because if the due diligence didn't come back, we'd be spending the money now without getting the money for the purchase. So this allows us to proceed knowing that the conditions have all been removed by the purchaser. So any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Councillor Wells?
I'm just putting I'm looking at the cost here. I'm having a hard time thinking it's gonna cost that much. Just for the fact, if you're taking a hi-ho, like you said, about $50,000 for the first week or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you take a hi-ho at even $125 an hour by 8 hours, whatever, $5,000 a week plus a truck. Each truck is maybe $800 a day. So they're, say 5 trucks, another 4,000, less than $10,000 a week for a hi-ho and 5 triaxles moving there. And I know there's a lot of stuff there, but you get 5 triaxles going, they can move a lot of stuff. So it just, I don't think it's gonna, it shouldn't cost that much. And we have unit pricing on recurring services as far as hi-hos, dump trucks and that, don't we?
Right, Jeff?
Jeff?
Okay, so I'm going to ask the Director of Transportation to respond to Councillor Wells' concern. If you don't mind coming to the mic, Jeff, I'd appreciate that. I think one of the concerns I would just think off the top of my head is that everybody's busy and nobody really wants to do it. But anyway, go ahead.
So thank you, Mayor. So just to add a little bit more context to what CAO Garrity was referring to. We price this as a lump sum per job, because this is a job. It's not a by the hour type situation. So we were priced at the cost of an excavator. I wish those prices that you just rhymed off were correct, but they are not correct. You cannot find a dump truck. You cannot find a dump truck for that cost that you referenced per hour.
$80 to $90 an hour?
No.
Oh yeah, you can.
We have 2 through recurring services, and I would wish you good luck to get them because they're busy elsewhere. And that's what we have through our recurring services. The shovel rentals are the same thing. It's an increased cost, and that's just the way it is. I wish I could, but
when you go out for a job like this, and I've been in enough jobs, civil jobs and stuff like this, where you have someone come in, they're looking at that and they're busy right now, they're gonna throw you a number like that. You come in by the hour. That's the way to keep your costs down on stuff like this. And especially, we can do like some of that work too. Like we have, right now we're not using dump trucks for whatever, and we have a rubber tire excavator. Like we can be in there doing it too. So if you take that, by us doing some of it, and hire whoever in by the hour too. I'm just, at the end of the day, it's gonna be cheaper. I know it will. So.
Go ahead.
Part of it was we think we can do it for a lot less than what's being quoted right now. And the fact is that we were going to use some of the fill and bring some of the fill to the actual Morrisburg Lagoon and put some of the fill there as well. I think part of your biggest price is the fact that they got to travel from Morrisburg to the Matilda landfill. And that's quite a distance there and back. So we don't think it's going to come close to $150,000. We want to get started to kind of see what dent we can put in the removal of the soil with staff as well, and then kind of report back to council at that time.
Back when well, I'm not gonna go why this stuff got there from the transmission line. Like a lot of that stuff should have been actually trucked to the landfill site and stockpiled anyways, because like you said, we use it all the time. But I think if you reach out and we do this by the hour with our guys, it would be a lot cheaper, but.
Okay, well, fair comments. Councilor Mellon.
I'm going to leave it up to staff to figure the most cost-effective. Let's get it done quickly, quietly, and efficiently. You know, the sale hinges on this being, you know, done, and that closes on December 16th. I don't know cost-wise whether, you know, hourly job, in-house. We got to move it, so let's get it out of there.
Oh, so Lois?
I have to agree, it's gotta go, it's gotta go. December 16th is just around the corner, people. It's not that far away. And there is one pile of topsoil down there. So, yeah, I'm like Councilor Mellon. I'm gonna leave that up to staff. That's why we pay you.
Mayor.
I have some different concerns, actually. I remember having this discussion back in 2021 and being absolutely adamant that that land needed to be clean. We're very lucky that we had this company that agreed to purchase it. We're very lucky that they're patient, but having said that, had the sale fallen through, we know that there have been companies that have looked at that land and could not get past the mess that it was. Mm-hmm. So I'm disappointed big time in the fact that a line item where this council in 2021 made it a priority after discussing a budget for almost 3 days, and it was then essentially ignored. So not happy about that. Very happy that this company is still with us. It just needs to be done and over with, because we have a hard enough time attracting, and a lot of work goes into promoting and attracting. And when we have a big fish on the hook, we played a very risky game with this, and we're very lucky that they did not decide to drop out. And then we would have been, I don't know where we would have been. So I just want to express my displeasure at having something just carried and forgotten. And here we are at the final hour paying very expensive costs for something that we had a year to manage. So.
Okay, any comment?
I think the only thing I will echo is, you know, definitely it's something we wanted to move quicker on. We did have some issues throughout the summer with working with the company that we had a lot of wet spots. It was identified as a few beaver dams that were in there that were causing the lands on the east side. We couldn't get any St. Lawrence testing in there to do any testing, so we've had our drainage super go in there with the beaver trappers and remove them over the summer. Now they're satisfied that they were in there with their equipment to do some soil testing. So now we've corrected that issue, and we'll move forward with that.
And I appreciate that, Shannon.
Yep.
But like I said, I think my concern is when we talked about just the sale of that property and being able to sell it and for it to be attractive, there's two types of buyers. One that has an imagination and can kind of work around, if you will, the disgusting walls and know that they can paint them. Or there's other buyers that want to see something spick and span. And this is a big win for this term of council. It's a big win for staff. You guys have worked on it, so I do appreciate that. But we're very lucky that the tide didn't switch, where we're back to having to try and sell it. So I appreciate it, and I just would like to see it done.
Okay. So I think, if you get beyond the organics, Jeff, that are on that site, is most of the rest of the fill that's there just compacted ground, subsoil, or is it topsoil, or what is your best guess? I know you didn't put it there, but you've seen the site. It doesn't grow weeds, then it tells me it's not great soil.
So, to answer your question, Mr. Mayor, as soon as, if you were to drive in that site, let's call it on the east side, that's where the yard and leaf waste used to be piled. That's now mud. It's broken down and composted to, it's not even dirt anymore, so we can use that as cover. There is wood chips. Hydro and local companies used to drop off the wood chips if they were cleaning up branches. So we need to remove that. Then we'll get to the waste. There is a big pile of wood that's in there that needs to either be chipped or done something with, that I'll get a contractor in to ultimately get rid of that. What does the pile consist of? That's the million-dollar question. I cannot tell you, as I was not employed here. I did not see the product come in. I know we have some trees to clear off it because it has grown trees on the mound on that hill. So we will have to clear that off. And I'm anticipating that there's probably going to be a few stones in it. But it will go and we can use it for cover at the landfill. We'll just separate it as we're dumping it. We'll separate the large stones and we'll make use of it, or we'll bring it over to Morrisburg to the Morrisburg yard and we'll make a bigger pad for storage in that facility with that product.
Okay, so there's two suggestions here, and that's taking material to the landfill and also material to the old lagoon. I've got it noted, and I've already talked to CEO, and maybe you've heard it, that all the organics must go to the landfill.
That's right.
If you're gonna try to take the easy way out. If it's hard pan stones and subsoil, then the lagoon could be an option. I don't know what it's gonna entail, but you only have to come across the road, so you'll save costs there. You may have to have a bulldozer or something leveling it out, but it's a possibility. But whatever you do not drop organics in the old lagoon, because the theory of it someday is somebody's gonna build this big condo on it. I know I'm being a little facetious here, but that's all I heard for the last 10 years as I sat on council, that somebody wanted to build a condo on the old lagoon. It's been filled in and semi-compacted, so I know that we've done what we can to at least give a starting base. Who knows what a builder would have to do no matter what they do down there. But, you know, I think the biggest challenge is we're stuck for time. Contractors are all busy till the snow flies, and possibly reaching out to others might get you a little bit better price. I know we have our own crew that can do some of the work, but snow season's coming soon, and yeah, I'd be ready for that too. So I'm kind of in the books of Councillor Lewis, Councillor Mellon. You know, your expertise is going to have to be entailed to come up with a plan that's a little tight to get it started. It's unfortunate the next council is going to have to finish it off, but we did get money we knew that when we were selling it, that the possibility is that we had to remove it all. It's unfortunate the price of it is a lot more than we anticipated, and that's our challenge, I think, as a council going forward. So I think council's desire is that, the 50,000 is okay. It's just a matter of how can you get the most you can out of the 50 so you don't have to spend another 100 grand after that. I think that's the goal in the end. Councillor Wells.
Just one last comment about what's going to be in that subsoil is going to be exactly like right from here all the way up to the Iroquois. You look at Dutch Meadows, there's going to be a lot of stones in that from that transmission line. I know for a fact it will. Don't matter where you dig, like up in Iroquois, there's stones all over. So I like Mayor Byville's where we take most of it or all that we can as far as the subsoil and put it over in the lagoon and get a big dozer in or something and keep pushing it back and pushing it back. I think that would be the cheapest route. So that's my last comment, Mayor.
Okay, any further comments? Seeing none, all heard motion, those in favor. Opposed, if any, motion carries. Thanks for your information, gentlemen. Okay, bylaws. First bylaw is 2022-114, zoning bylaw amendment for 1977488 Ontario Inc.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2022-114, being a bylaw to rezone vacant land on County Road 2, more specifically known as part of Lot 35 East, Concession 1, being Part 5 on 8R2338, from General Industrial M2 to General Industrial Special Exception 11, M211, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Peter, anything further on this?
Just was going to add, it'll be about a 2,400 square foot agricultural storage building if passed, and we feel it's a good interim use as the village expands, can be still used for industrial purposes and more jobs in the future. Just a smaller structure to start with.
Okay, my question is, storing what?
Vehicles is what I understand, tractors and that type for the owners and for potentially other surrounding agricultural. There won't be parking lots or anything for visitors and customers. It's more just to drive in and store tractors and vehicles.
Okay, so this piece of property is not part of rate case, it's separate, right?
It's right beside.
It was Black's at one time, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's right beside their farm. Their farm.
Okay. The ultimate question I have to ask, because if it happens, I want to make sure it's been asked. Is there a possibility down the road, without doing anything, that this can be converted into a cannabis facility?
The zoning would, M2 would permit it, except that the setbacks would be from residential and sensitive land uses, because those are right across the street. Those houses would all be within the current 350 or 300 meter setback. Additionally, you have immediately to the west 2 homes as well. So this would be well within those setbacks. It wouldn't be close to the 300 or even if there was a reduced setback. You'll have residential uses right across the street. But right now, cannabis would be permitted because it's an M2 anyways. So if they wanted to submit, they would have needed a rezoning to reduce the setback either way.
Okay.
But they would require probably site plan if they're ever to convert this to industrial use. Agriculture is exempt from site plan, but to go to industrial requires site plan control. So if there was any proposal like that, or for another industrial use, we could ask for whichever studies. But no, this wouldn't meet the setbacks, and it would be very difficult because there's homes right beside it and to the south with the new subdivision.
Okay, that makes me feel somewhat better. Any other comments, questions, concerns from any member of council? All heard the motion, those in favor, opposed to any, motion carries. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Next one, 2022-115, curbside waste collection.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2022-115, being a bylaw to provide for waste curbside collection, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is a follow-up to our discussion at the last council meeting. We've updated some of the language in our waste collection bylaw. In addition, we have a letter drafted ready to go to the contractor, as well as we'll be meeting with the contractor next week to have further discussions on the current services and hopefully improving them as we move forward. If there's any questions, I'm going to be more than happy to answer.
Okay, we had a discussion on this last council meeting. Is there anything further on this for any member of council? Okay, my comment will be that if the contractor needs to know how council feels, you can wind up the tape and show it to them next week from last council meeting.
Yep.
I think most of us were very adamant in our concerns. Please.
Absolutely.
If there's no further comment or all heard in motion, those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Next one, 2022-116, communications policy update.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-116, being a bylaw to update the communications policy number 3-15, including the addition of Schedule B, the Corporate Identity Standards Guide, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Galen?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So pretty self-explanatory. This is just to update our policy to go along with what we just passed with the logo. If you have questions about specific things that are changing or any other changes that you'd like, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any comments, questions, concerns from any member of council on this bylaw? Seeing none, all heard the motion, those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Next one, 2022-117, OILC debenture, Taylor Road Bridge.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2022-117, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the Municipality of South Dundas, to authorize the borrowing upon amortizing debentures in the principal sum of $332,212 towards the cost of the Taylor Road Bridge replacement, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Lachlan?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As discussed with the previous one, the terms are there on page 88. You have the $332,000 to borrow, 4.26%. It's 10 years starting in 2023. The payment will be semi-annual, and that will be fully paid by October 3rd, 2032. The big steps are getting the approval tonight. This is the final approval. Tomorrow we will have all the signatures prepared and sent onward to the lawyer's office. They'll do their due diligence, and then we'll send it to Ontario Loan Corporation, or Ontario Infrastructure and Loan Corporation. I think I have the L in that word. Anyway, Infrastructure Ontario is what I would short form them to. We'll forward it onward to them, and then we'll have the money forwarded to us shortly after that.
Okay. Comments, questions, concerns from any member of council on this? Seeing none, all heard the motion, those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Thank you, Lachlan. Next one is 2022-119, flag policy use update.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2022-119, being a bylaw to authorize an amendment to flag policy 1-4, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
David, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in front of you tonight is our favorite policy, the flag policy. So this is just a quick housekeeping update with regards to our conversations that we had in July and August from the request from the Iroquois District Business Group. So this is just updating the policy to match those discussions.
Okay. The only comment I have, and I have to make it first, is that, and I've noticed it's already happened, is that the Canadian flag is on the top, correct? That should be in here. That way you don't have any further discussion down the road and somebody puts the other flag up top like it always was. That's my comment on this. Any further comments on this?
I agree with you. Should be on top.
Well, it hadn't been for many years.
No, I know that.
So that's why I'm making it part of the policy. The clerk can write it in.
Sure, I was going to say, if you offer a friendly amendment to that, we can update the policy that you're just about to approve to reflect that.
Somebody make it?
A friendly
Sure.
amendment, yeah.
Councilor Mellon seconds it.
Perfect.
Okay. We've all heard the motion. Those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Thank you. 2022-120, Fred Link Drain.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2022-120, being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the Fred Link Municipal Drain, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Anybody speaking to this? CO?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is another drain maintenance for billing. The maintenance work was done in 2021. We've applied to the AMAFR for the grant of $976, so we'll be assessing in the watershed of a little over $1,900. The due date for the invoice will be November 30th of this year.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns? Councilor Mellon?
No, I mean, it's all right, but when I first read this, we're assessing, we're billing out before we get
Correct.
the grant. They're all ag,
Yes.
shouldn't be an issue. God forbid the government could pull that
Good.
funding envelope tomorrow. So, which means I guess we'd have to send out another bill for, the 3rd. That's all. I hope we don't make this a practice. Like, I mean, just because of that possibility that, you know, in this case, I can live with it because they're all ag and, you know, there's only 4 properties, so, you know.
Yep.
Go ahead, CEO.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, by votes to Councillor Mellon. So certainly we look at the drains to make sure that they make sense from a administrative standpoint. You're right, we might not get the grant, which then we would have to then send out another additional invoice for that. This allows us at least a little bit to get these invoices out timely, because as you know, we could be waiting for our grant from AMAF for 2-3 years. And since staff have done a great job in getting the invoicing up to date, we want to make sure, I think this is probably the last one and everything else is 2022 and current. So this kind of takes care of that final piece, but you're right, it's all ag, so we're confident we'll get the funding for it.
I'm glad to see it build out so quick, but it just got.
Can I make a suggestion then? So on our cover letter, you write in it that we have deducted the 1/3 grant due to its agricultural, whatever it's called, the official way. But also say that if this grant is not paid by the province or something happens to it at any time in the future, that we will send the extra bill out.
Yeah.
It kind of covers you.
Absolutely. I believe, and too, in speaking with the deputy treasurer, I believe it's actually all 4 of these is one owner, so that's not a problem. We can.
Well, I understand that too from
take.
my recollection of
Yeah.
what this drain is.
Yep.
It's a covered drain, so.
We'll make sure it's communicated to the property owner, though, that if the off chance we don't get the funding, that we will be doing a supplemental
Yeah,
bill.
that way they can't come back, well, I paid,
Yep.
Yeah.
too bad, so sad. So at least you can say, no, we sent you that cover letter and
Absolutely.
that's the reason why.
Nope, consider it done.
CYA.
Agreement.
Okay. Well, we will understand that on Thursday night, that when the debate will happen, nobody, and we know one individual that did get up at our last debate in Matilda Hall and combed us over paying drains, can say that we haven't sent out bills. Well, it was almost $1 million, so it's real money. So it's good for the money that comes back, because it's all gone, right?
That was money that we were carrying that debt internally on, so it's nice to get that all recouped up.
I give compliments to the staff for getting this, you know, cleaned up, and, you know, it's great. It's just that was the only, that.
Okay, Councilor Wells?
I'm just going to throw one more comment, and I totally agree about staff getting things up to date. But moving forward, anything pertaining to municipal drain as far as tenders going out or whatever, I would bill, like say if it's $100,000 for whatever, bill everyone the thing and not be using our taxpayers' money sitting there. And 3-4 years down the road, whatever happens, whether it's, the grant comes in or whatever, then it's better that they see a check being sent to them instead of an invoice 6 or 7 years later, because I know the person you're talking about, and I wouldn't want to go through that again with her.
Fair enough.
Just saying.
She has experience, how's that?
Yes, so, but moving forward, that's the way I would bill it out. Then if it's a little extra cost sending something out later, it is.
So my suggestion to you, Councilor Wells, is that if you are fortunate enough to be back here at this table, then you bring that policy forward and let staff run through it, and then let council make that decision. I don't say it's bad, but we didn't do it. There's reasons probably for it, but we had to get caught up first. I think at least now we're at a point we can contemplate it. I don't know if we can do it. So I mean, that's what my comment is.
I think another piece too is as we've cut the municipal drains up, we have now updated assessment schedules. So that makes a big difference, because that's a time consuming when you have to go back and look at properties that are severed and all that stuff and do some apportionment. So now that we've got our drains assessment schedules up to date, it allows that billing to happen and the submission to a MAF a lot quicker than before. So.
Okay, enough discussion on this.
No,
All heard the motion, those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Consent agenda, please.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that all items listed under general consent section of the agenda be adopted as presented.
So under consent agenda tonight, we have our building planning and bylaw August statistics. We have a request for use for the Morseburg Waterfront Park for a cross-country event with the schools. We have a municipal drain update. We have a request for a letter of support from Habitat for Humanity, a request for use of chairs for the Dundas County Hospice. We have a request to proclaim Cadet Week from the 661L Lieutenant W.F. Sharp Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron. And we have a letter of support for South Nation Conservation concerning applying for an infrastructure grant for 2 creeks. We've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Boards, committees, discussion items. The one that takes. Does anybody need a break? Say it now, forever hold your peace. Okay, 5-minute break, please. 5, you're not getting a cigarette break. Okay, and we're on to our next agenda item, which is boards, committees, and discussion items. The first one is county council. We did have a county council meeting last week, so I'll just quickly go through the agenda on the major points. We gave away $162,000 plus on the regional incentives programs, which has been really working well. Al Broad in Morseburg here, who do the cleanup of the cheese containers, applied for $50,000 and received it. They're expanding 10,000 square feet on that old Parker Paints building, which is a good thing. So that was the big news for South Dundas on that specific item. We extended the OPP contract by 1 year. Technically, we were in lame duck and couldn't do it, but we didn't change any of the terms, so we just basically extended 1 year and let the new council deal with going the 5-year term. Did an electronic monitoring policy. We don't have to do one here.
We do have a policy.
Electronic monitoring policy, we have one, or we have to do one?
We have to do a new one by October 11th, so
Okay,
that will be coming forward.
because counties did theirs, and there was
Yes.
some discussion on that. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. I thought we had to do one here too.
Yeah.
So budget dates for the next council, the new council will be in February. The reason being that they'll have year ends, finals on all of this year's projects, and it'll also allow the new council to get their feet wet, know what's going on, instead of just getting a budget and say, you don't get a say, this is a budget that was given by somebody else. I still think it's a timely place to have it. Counties were usually that time frame or even worse at one time. The intersection of County Road 19 and 27, which is in South Glengarry, is going to get new signage and rumble strips. The delegation we had by Jacqueline Milner was addressed by just being a bit smarter on maintenance in that area, and if somebody wants to put up signage concerning turtles or finding money to deal with wildlife, then they'll look at that. We had the draft roundabout streetscaping policy, which council was updated by the Director of Transportation today. We had project updates. I did voice my concerns on some of them getting a little late, especially the ones that will impact agricultural users, specifically the one in Black Creek and the one on East Castor. It's just one of those years. And the SDG Library has a new strategic plan from 2022 to 2026. It's on their website if anybody wants to read it. I'm sorry I did not really read it, and I'm sure it's a plan that was done well by their consultant and the board that is there now. That's it. Anything further?
On the regional incentives program, I think it's important to note for both tourism and regional incentive that this past term of council, South Dundas businesses, whether tourism or regular businesses, have robustly applied for that program and actually been awarded money, which was not the case when Mayor Byveld and I sat on that. So while I sit on the incentive programs, you have to sit and look at all of SDNG. I do believe that it's more fairly distributed now with our businesses being able to leverage it. So fairly great success stories. If you look at tourism, Reikis, like look everywhere. You just have to look at the Max Milk building and see how amazing that corner looks now. And they were part of
That's
part
in
of that
South
as well.
Stormont, but close to Carmel.
What?
Oh, over here?
I'm talking here.
Which Max Milk?
Well, the old
The old dairy.
Yeah, well, whatever. The old, it was Max Milk.
Oh, this one here.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Why didn't you say Lakeshore Massage Therapy? I would have
Because
known
people
it just
think of
like
the
that.
ugly newspaper
Oh, it was
in the
ugly,
building,
trust me.
right? So it's just important to make sure that at counties that we get our businesses are fairly assessed. So
I don't disagree. I think there was a little bit of a tuning in after the first year, and everything fixed up.
Yep.
Any comments, questions, concerns? all the paving got done, and I will say I'm quite happy with the paving we got done in South Dundas this term of council, for sure. So even I talked to road patrol supervisor for the area, and he was tickled pink that he had that much work done in his area this year, so. Okay, going down the list. Cemetery Board.
No meetings, Mayor.
No Iroquois District Business Group meeting. They did have their Apple Fest, which was great. BIA.
Nope.
We're gonna leave it up to next council to fix that then? Okay, no further. South Nation.
This Thursday.
Morrisville Waterfront.
Nope.
Iroquois Waterfront, not yet. South Branch.
Nope.
Carmen House, no. Dundas County Archives, no. Tourism Advisory.
All three are wrapped up.
Okay. Tax relief request. Who's spearing this one? Lachlan?
Just pull up the file just a moment. So it's a little bit different, but somewhat the same as the one we had last week. This one is not asking for interest removal. This is a tax rebate. The situation was in 2020. It was late December. They had a fire, and they were unaware of the timelines to apply to have their taxes reduced, because obviously the use of the building, like the impact, does allow for a decreased value. This is governed under the Municipal Act and the Assessment Act, and it says there that the value of a property can be changed if the building was raised by a fire, which it was. The only issue is, per the Act, an application under section must be filed with the Treasury Department on or before the last day of February of the following year. So they applied in 2022, for 2021, I think, but they did not have it in time for the previous year. So, or sorry, they applied after that fact, so they could have had it in 2021. They didn't apply on the proper date, but they're going to have it for 2022. And that's the issue here, is per the Act, they are supposed to have it in before the last day of February. So again, administratively, we have to tell them no. Per the Act, I'd also recommend it. It is one of those situations where your heart goes out to them, because it is a poor moment. I understand from her letter that she kind of acknowledged that if we can't do that, we should at least make this a learning opportunity, and perhaps we can make a communication and an educational, discuss it with the fire department, that whenever these happen, that this is available, so somebody in the fire services or reaches out to us, or we keep a little bit more aware that when people have their house raised by fire, they're not really thinking about their assessment. So I think that is a learning opportunity for us, and we are a small community, so maybe something we do better next time. But again, I would recommend, per the Act and per our own policy, that we do not drop the taxations.
Okay, Council Wells?
Well, I like the part where we're gonna get the fire department involved, that we should, like if something burns, that it comes back to the administration that they can do this. Myself, what are we talking about? So in the 2 years, they're getting, 1 year they're getting the relief and 1 year they're not?
They'll get relief for this year, but they won't get relief for 2021.
Okay, and so what are we talking, money-wise?
Just look at that letter. I believe it was in there. Sorry. Oh, no, I didn't put that in there. I don't have the answer immediately to you. If the internet was more reliable, I could have it to you.
So I know the house, I know the people.
You're probably looking for every 100,000 of assessment, you're looking at about $1,200 of taxation. So
I'm thinking their taxes are probably $2,800 to $2,900 for the year.
that'd be a little over average. So that'd be reasonable assessment, yeah.
Like, they are getting relief, and there is a policy that you have to, and I do agree that their policy is there for a reason, right? It's sad that they lost their home. It's sad they didn't get their application in. By moving forward, like the way you were setting it up with the fire department, I would like that in place. any fire pertaining to any building, that there's a report from our fire chief that comes back to either our tax department or the treasury department or something, that we know that we can send a letter to them stating, if you have this filed by the time frame, the end of February or whatever, you will get your tax relief on your property, on your building.
And administratively, like from the Treasury Department, we can also, the more people that know about it, the more likely it is to be passed along. So it's not just fire to us. I mean, we can also educate.
Yes.
So more people, like send out a memo and say, in a case of a fire, these are available, and not everybody has to memorize it, but a few will, and hopefully the next time it either will notice or they'll notice, and this won't happen because it is unfortunate because the mechanism's there.
So I myself, I would have to say no to 2021, just because we have the policy. Everyone's got to follow it, right? If we change it for this, people could go back on fires 3-4 years down the road. Well, you went back a year for there, why can't you go back 3? So I would say no to the relief for 2021, but incorporate some kind of thing to let people know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's unfortunate, it's tragic, and I mean, any type of financial aid at that time would be probably greatly appreciated. The only thing I agree with the fire department thing. I think there needs to be a time frame within a report, I guess, and I think we should have next council should probably have a report from the fire department outlining how that communication is going to take place between the fire department, the homeowner, and probably the tax department to make sure that it's something there is clarified and it's in writing that within 10 days of the fire, an email or snail mail can be put out to the homeowners, whether it's a residential or a business. There is relief there for so. I agree with the fire department. That's what my suggestion would have been, and I'd just like to see, I think, something maybe firm so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle in the fire department. Make sure somebody, it's a policy that they adhere to and address, but I think that needs to be brought back to the next term of council, how it can be addressed and how it can be implemented.
I agree. Also, it should be a policy that we take care of, because a lot of homeowners they don't know anything about a relief, and I have to agree with Councilor Wells. It is our policy 2021 no, but 2022 yes. But it would be, as you said, Lachlan, it's a learning experience for the municipality also.
Mayor?
I look at it a little bit differently. I hear what folks are saying. I don't think it should be a policy. I think we should come up with a package. I think when you've lost your home, I think having some fire person standing there while your home is burning, talking about tax relief and all that stuff is probably not appropriate at that time. So we definitely need to come up with a package that is given to folks when they lose. And I think we need to be proactive in that because they are part of our community. And this is one of the cases where I get that ignorance of the law is no excuse and the person should know, but I have never gone through this, but I can understand the victimology of going through that, losing everything. It's a lot more complicated than just the person didn't check online to see what their responsibilities were. I also understand the Municipal Act, and I understand that sitting in this seat, you have to make tough decisions that sometimes you don't necessarily fully agree with. Is there anything we could do about interest? Or is she just asking for a full, have they paid it and then they're asking for relief? Or is this something that is having accrued interest?
Again, if I could get back to you on that one. I had bat him up for this reason before. I believe she's just asking. I'm almost confident she's paid. Because,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was willing to meet in the middle and just use a little bit of empathy if they were behind in payment than to potentially propose, just not having the interest through going through that. But we definitely, I think we need to do a better job and give our fire people tools at this devastation, and create a package where it just kind of lets them know that they can look at later. Just they'll stuff it in their car and go, but something that they'll have in writing instead of relying on information being given.
And you touched on a good point with the interest, is because, as I mentioned last, council meeting, we touched on extraordinary circumstances, and this is not having your mail lined up is an extraordinary circumstance, but losing your home could be described as extraordinary.
Yeah. Respectfully, I disagree when you said it's similar. I don't think it's similar at all. So for this, it's just, these are community members that have suffered a loss. This is an extremely compassionate community, and in my mind, I mean, it's not in there, so but I think we need to definitely create a package to make sure that they're aware.
Okay, I do agree with the majority of council that, we can't, going back to 2021 it's too challenging. The money's spent and the budget's been dealt with. I will say that though, she did reach out to me and I told her this is one of the routes she can go. I did look into it, and Lachlan's right. Between Municipal Act and MPAC, the deadline was missed, and there's no way that staff or anybody could legally go after it. And it's always challenging for a council to give money back they've already taken and spent through a budget, even if we do have an account to pay for tax reductions. That was last year. This year would have been fair game, no doubt about it. I'm not sure I don't agree that the fire department's responsibility for this. I think, if the fire department has a responsibility, they can inform Treasury that this house is gone, you guys can do the work. And to give an envelope out that night, I think, or that day, I don't think that's the right move. You got to have some time to. It's like a loss in the family. The first day hits you in the head, and then you get the wake, and you can kind of work through it. But to do it immediately or that during the situation, I don't think it's fair to the fire department, and B, fair to the person that's already involved. So I think if there's anything that Ms. Roberts is going to gain on this is that hopefully going forward that the municipality set something up to help those who have lost. To be honest, it's challenging for us. We'd like to get all the money we can. However, in this kind of situation, we're getting unfair money because the house is not there to really be provided any service whatsoever. So it certainly is a fair situation, just has to be done right. Okay, any further comments, any member of council? Okay, please send her a very nice letter and tell her we are trying to fix things up, but it is the way it is.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is request to withdraw a fine. Anybody going to speak to that? Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Sure. So before you is a request to withdraw a fine in the amount of $150. The resident did have a recreational fire permit, but there was a complaint which was attended by the fire department on August 25th. So the complaint was that they were burning during off hours. They were burning cedar brush, so there was a noise or a complaint based on the smell. The resident was compliant with the fire department, but as per the policy, the fire department personnel did indicate that a fine would be forthcoming, which was received. And that's why you have the request to withdraw the fine in the amount of $150 in front of you this evening.
Okay. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Well, 3 years after I proposed this recreational fire, we finally have a fine. I just don't know what education is done. The way that enforcement folks are dealing with now, they educate before they heavy-handed on the fine. So without knowing the discussion that occurred, was she given a warning? Is this a repeat? Is this a repeat offender?
So in discussion,
offense, sorry,
through you, Mr. Mayor, in discussion with the fire department, this was the third time to this residence. with basically 2 or 3 verbal warnings.
Might change your mind on something like that.
Well, it does. I mean, that is the one. It's one thing to have a little bit of grace and education. It's another thing, unfortunately, if our folks have returned 3 times, and unfortunately, it takes resources. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that we'll have to let it stand. And you're positive it was 3 the 3rd visit? Okay.
Councilor Mellon?
Well, when you read this, it's a little confusing because they're referring to a $2,500 fee at the dump. I don't know where that come from. If it's $2,500, just more than a few more hedge clippings. You know, by the sounds of it, you know, without knowing the background on it, now that I hear that it's been, you know, this is the 3rd time. I was fine. I paid it. I didn't like it. Let's drive on.
Councilor Wells?
I'm in agreement, like, in our recreation burn policy, it does states like you can't burn that. It Pacific tells you what you can burn for wood and stuff. It's not hedges. And I'm with Councilor Mellon, $2,500, I'm not, this letter is kind of all over the place. We do offer compost, which you can take the hedge stuff to the thing as far as the little bit of clippings. Brush, I don't know. Anyways, the fine would stand.
Okay, there you have your answer.
Thank you.
Any notices of motion this evening?
There are not.
Ratification bylaw then, please.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2022-121, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
All heard in motion, those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Before I have clerk to read the next motion, I'd like to thank council for their work tonight. It's not quite as late as the last time. We almost got 2 hours shaved off this meeting. We didn't have as much work either, so I'd like to thank all staff for their reports. I'd like to thank the audience for attending, and I'd like to thank the audience online for watching our show tonight. Madam Clerk?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that council now adjourn at 8:06 p.m. to meet again at the call of the chair.
All heard in motion, those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Thank you.